In our last video, we talked about the behaviors that makes people look difficult to handle or make people look difficult to deal with. And remember, as we had said before, that we are dealing with emotional people, people who are motivated by the pride. People who do things according to their emotions, how they feel, and how they want things to go, and therefore we need to know on how to approach. So what are the best approaches that we can develop to ensure that every person that we meet, in whichever the things they believe in whichever culture they come from, whatever belief they have, whichever preferences they have, that we can have a mutual and amicable understanding of each other, so that when we speak with each other, we have understanding. Sometimes for you to be understood, you also need to seek to understand. Many people talk with people and they only want themselves to be understood. But the most important thing is that when you're having a conversation, you seek to understand before you seek to be understood. And for that to happen, we need to understand approaches on difficult people. Now, who are these people that we want? We have talked about 10 difficult behaviors that you can approach. One of the approaches that you can take is to sit down and do nothing. Now, this approach is not appropriate because behaviors of people get into us with time. Difficult people will irritate us as time goes by, and therefore it will be wrong to say that you sit down and do nothing about it. There must be something to do. So people sometimes tend to say, okay, go ahead, just talk, I can sit down there and do nothing about it. But remember, we are emotional beings. As people speak to us, it gets into us and it gets into our feelings and it gets provoked, we get irritated, and therefore it will be wrong to say that we're going to just sit down and do nothing about it. All right. Another approach that you can take is to make use of our feet. Right. You make use of our feet. You can try to walk away from a conversation or an argument that doesn't sound fruitful, or a conversation that you find is taking another route that may not be wise in your own judgment. You decide to walk away. Some arguments are not worth engaging in. Some arguments or conversations are not worth engaging in. So when you are in conversation and you realize that you are not getting to understand each other, and you realize that people, the person of whom you're having conversation with, do not take time to listen, do not take time to understand, and it maybe is exploding. Maybe you are in conversation with a person who is a grenade, who has developed a behavior of a grenade. Then that makes you cut short your conversation and walk away so that you can have that conversation at a later time. Okay? Because it can be difficult to argue, make your argument with a person who already exploded, who doesn't want to listen to your argument, doesn't want to know. Sometimes you are arguing the person who has developed a behavior of know-it-all. He doesn't want to listen to you. He just wants to speak to you, and you feel irritated with that, and you have nothing to do about it. Then what you do is use your feet. Just walk away from that conversation. Maybe you can come to back conversation later on, because you want to be safe yourself. You want not to go out of proportion. You don't want to go physical. You don't want to lose your cool. You don't want to lose your integrity. So you decide to walk away. You don't have to win an organization. Carnegie, in his book Winning and Influencing People, says that the best way to win a conversation is to lose it. Sometimes you winning a conversation is not really winning it, but losing it is winning it. So the best way to win a conversation is sometimes to let go of a conversation. So when you feel you cannot do that, then use your feet to actually walk away from the conversation and give yourself some time so that you can reoccur or can reintroduce the conversation with that particular friend. So sometimes this becomes difficult when you're dealing with people who know it all. You are dealing with the grenades. You are dealing with the sniper, a person who believes that we now have to get this, we have to get this. When you have to say, no, do this, and he feels you're coming on his way, of course he's going to work on how to eliminate you from his way. Then the best thing is to let that conversation go and do something else. So that's an approach that you can take. Make use of your feet when things don't go well. Another approach is to change your attitude. So sometimes maybe before you even walk away, you may think of changing of your attitude towards the person. All right. So sometimes people just want to be listened to, and when you criticize a person, there's a way you need to do that on how the choices of what you're going to make, and trying to correct the person. We'll be able to know whether you're going to to that. Let the person know that you know what he's saying, you feel the person, yeah, you agree with what he's saying. And maybe there are some points of or areas maybe he's made that you feel maybe they need to change. So how you do that matters a lot. And therefore, maybe before you walk away from that conversation, you may think of changing your attitude so that you can you think on his point of view. So you take back your view and now inherit his view, so that you are reasoning on his point of view, so that you guys can come together, you people can have some rapport together. People want to be listened to, people want to be shown some empathy and sympathy. And therefore, one of the ways that you do that is that you change your attitude so that you don't think of yourself. You don't think of the person who you're speaking to, so that you have time to have rapport with you, so that you can have confidence in you, so that he can tell you anything. When you have confidence in you and that you're listening to him or you're listening to her, that person will also be ready at some point to listen to your positive criticism that you are going to make onto him. So attitude is important. Sometimes when you think I am wrong, you are not going to listen to me. When you think I'm going to make a wrong idea, of course you're going not to listen to me. Therefore, trust the person who's speaking. Know that they are right. First of all, let them speak to you. Give them time to speak of what they're feeling. Let them exhaust their feeling and emotions. When they do this, you will have time to come in later on in the conversation to understand them, to advise them, and they're going to listen. So before you walk away, you can decide to think if you can change your attitude towards them. Another thing is that you can take approach of changing your behavior. For example, if you are leading in the conversation, you can change that behavior and say, now let the other person lead in the conversation, so that you can give what you call empathetic listening. That listening with empathy. So you can change a behavior, all right, to deal with a difficult person. So which approach are you doing? So which approach are you going to choose? And this is a judgment that I leave unto you, that you choose on which one will do best for you. Sometimes when you change your behavior towards the person who is talking to you, you can easily deal with the difficult person, and you can easily be able to be understood, because you'll be first ready to listen and to understand that person. You understand why he is angry, why is he pushing so much, Okay, why is it that he can do all these things? So these are the persons, changing your behavior towards them. So being cool to them, being friendly to them, and being understanding, telling them it's all about them, it's not about you, it's something like that. So the approach that you're going to choose, look at that. Whether you are going to sit down not doing anything, which I've told you is very dangerous, to just sit down doing nothing is going to affect you as a person. Or you're going to walk away, you're going to use your feet, walk away from the conversation that maybe you have realized it's not working well for you. Or you are going to do what? You are going to change your attitude toward that person, or you are also going to change your behavior. The judgment on what approach you're going to make, this I leave to you to make a decision on how you're going to do that, because I may not be in that conversation. You know what you feel in the conversation that you're going to be. You know what you are feeling in the organization you know what you're feeling in your church. Maybe having some pastors who are difficult for you. Maybe your church leaders, your elders in the church are difficult for you. You realize why they're difficult. Church leaders difficult. Your manager at work you find to be difficult. Your colleague at work, your friends, your people in school. You choose a best approach for you. All right, to see why that is going to happen. Now, after I have done this, I want us going to understand on the reason why people behave so differently. When we are going to understand why people behave the way they do, when you're going to understand why people move from the comfort zone, it's good for you to understand is that each and every person have a comfort zone. People have a normal behavior zone, all right? And when things happen, these people change their behaviors to become something else, because what they have believed in is being thwarted or is being overridden. So when a person who is normal, who behaves so normally, start behaving differently, there is something that has happened. So I want us to go in our next video. We are going to understand why people behave differently. There are 4 things that I know we are going to discuss, that the intentions that makes people behave so differently. So look out for the next video. After watching this video, be eager for our next video to understand why people behave so differently, why people come out from their comfort zone to think, to behave so weirdly. People behave so differently and become so difficult. Why are people become so pushy? Why do people become so pushy? Why is that this person who says nothing, a nothing person, there's a person who says nothing, who just says nothing? You cannot know what he thinks, you cannot know what he is planning, you cannot know what he thinks. He's just a no person. He just tells you, no, I don't know I don't know anything about that. What's happening? No, nothing is happening. They'll always tell you something like that. Why is the person decide to behave that way? Look out for the next video. Thank you, and may God bless you.